Hey, it's Coach Anderson here again from Mississippi Public Broadcasting Online U.S. History from 1877 to present. What we're going to do now is we're going to talk briefly about New Deal programs. Now, we gave you a little bit of a glance at what some of those New Deal programs were, but what we want to do is take a little bit deeper dive in terms of looking at what those programs were about. So what we're going to do, of course, is we're going to look at them because when you think about the New Deal, relief, recovery, reform. So the idea, of course, is to provide direct relief to people who needed relief right now so that they, of course, could have food, of course, have a place to sleep. Recovery, meaning give jobs an opportunity, give businesses the opportunity, of course, that they could, get back on their feet so that people, of course, could go back to work. And then recovery to make sure that whatever caused this depression, of course, wouldn't happen again. So New Deal programs were targeted to provide aid by category. Programs would be created to address mortgages, the financial sector, farming, conservation, unemployment, labor and business, and the aged and dependent, of course, with Social Security. What we're going to do, of course, is we want you to look at the purpose of each New Deal program that we're going to give you in a few seconds. Evaluate its impact by completing the chart which follows, and once you've completed the chart, we will come back and give you feedback. Now, as you see this particular chart, one of the things that we want you to do, of course, is give a brief purpose, and we've helped you with some of these, but there are some here that, of course, that you haven't seen before, like the TVA and the Fair Labor Standards Act. But what we want you to do is to give a brief purpose for what each one of them does, and not only do that, but do an assessment. Go through and look at an evaluation of each one of these programs and decide whether or not it was successful, was it successful or was it a failure. So right now what we'll do, of course, is we will give you some time, of course, to look at the different New Deal programs, this alphabet soup of programs, of course, that were created by FDR, and complete that particular activity. And we'll be back in about 30 minutes. And we will find out how well you did. You should have had time, of course, to go through and look at those alphabet soup can of programs created by FDR. And in looking at it, what we ask you to do, of course, is to look at the purpose. Look at the purpose of each one of these particular programs, and then making a judgment in terms of whether or not it was successful or not. Well, one of the things I will tell you, and once again, we won't go through each answer of these, but you can navigate to the end of the slide presentation, of course, and you can see the key. And what we'll tell you is this here, that when you look at most of these programs here, and you come over here and you make a judgment in terms of whether or not they were successful, you would have to say that they had some amount of decent success in the fact that we have some, of course, that are still around today. So when you look at Social Security, it becomes one of the shining examples of the Roosevelt administration, and then of course the PWA that put over 9 million people back to work. So when you look at these particular programs, one of the things that you find is that FDR did exactly what he said he was going to do. He was going to give people an opportunity to get back on their feet and restore confidence in the American public, in the American government, and that's exactly what he did. So once again, this is Coach Anderson from Mississippi Public Broadcasting Online U.S. History from 1877 to present. And remember what we always say, it's America's history, which means it's your history, so do your own research and draw your own conclusions. And we will see you next time.